In 2019, I was in a conference room in a meeting, and the person seated across the table essentially told me this: there was not a snowball's chance in Jamaica in July that you will ever do it. I wasn't good enough. It kind of gave me flashbacks to my senior year in high school. I was in the gym, along with others, trying out for the boys' basketball team. And I thought, this is my time to shine. This is it. But the coach looked at me, motioned me over, and said, "You're a good basketball player, but you're just not good enough for my team." And my NBA dreams at that moment were shattered. Both of those experiences with two people that I believe held invitations to my next steps, they both had nice ways of saying, "You're not good enough. You're not invited. This isn't for you." You're sitting there and you're wishing someone would call and just say, "This is what you're supposed to do. This is what you're meant to do." But the phone wasn't ringing. In 1987, I was reading water meters for the town of Cary. It wasn't my passion, but I just didn't know what to do. Then a friend, he called, and he presented a question: "Why don't you consider becoming a police officer?" Me? Becoming a police officer? In my community, I would be called Uncle Tom, a sellout, a traitor. But he was telling me about all the amazing things he was doing in his community. He was helping domestic violence victims. He was solving major crimes as a patrol officer. And then in his off time, he was coaching youth basketball. And that excited me. But I was immediately met with my own doubts. I was 90 pounds soaking wet. I was a shy kid. I was that kid when the teacher said, "Who wants to be the volunteer for show and tell?" I would look the other way, so the teacher wouldn't make eye contact with me and call on me. But also, I didn't have family background of police officers. And of course, again, my community would reject me. And these were a few of the many reasons that I believed I wasn't called to the police profession. I wasn't called, but I showed up. In 1990, I was sworn in as an Apex police officer. And I served for 29 years and then retired my badge. And then on to December of 2019. It must have snowed in Jamaica. I was sworn in as the first black mayor of the town of Apex, North Carolina. No degree and no political experience. I wasn't invited, but I showed up. I often get asked, what got you into this? What made you want to become a mayor? It's easy. You just show up and wear gold shoes and create golden moments. But actually, it's all about the people. Everyone wants to be a part of something, and that's called community. And to build community, you cultivate healthy relationships. When you cultivate healthy relationships, you're energized to run to problems. And when you run to problems, you bring different people along the way with you, and you bring them to the table, and you solve problems. Like this time, I met a young skateboarder. It was a police call. It was a call about a skateboarder in his driveway doing kickflips, causing a disturbance in the community. I get to the scene, and there he is. It's Tracy. I knew Tracy because I ran Tracy away from church parking lots, grocery store parking lots, the downtown depot, wherever Tracy and those young skateboarders could get that board with wheels to do flips and all other kind of tricks, they were there. And I look at Tracy and I say, "Hey, you're in violation of a noise ordinance. You're gonna have to stop doing those kick flips in the driveway." Tracy looked at me and said, "I can't do kick flips. I can't skateboard in my own driveway. And I say, I'm afraid you can't. You're in violation of the noise ordinance. Tracy picks up his board with wheels, and he walks into his house, closes the door. I walk to my patrol vehicle, grab the door, get in a car, and leave. I get 3 blocks down the road, and I'm immediately convicted. I look at myself in the mirror, and I say to myself, this isn't how you solve problems. You're a police officer. You run 2 problems. And I left Tracy with no solution. So I went back. I knocked on the door. Tracy answers the door. I tell Tracy, I really want to help you. Let's work together and solve this problem. He slams the door in my face. And what do? I knock on the door. Tracy opens the door. I say, Tracy, let's work together for a solution to this problem. Tracy responds, all of you police officers are just alike. You like to harass people. Slams the door. I knock on the door again. Tracy opens the door and says, what? I plead with Tracy. Let's work together. Meet with me at a local restaurant at 5 o'clock on Friday, and we're going to sit down and break bread and work on a solution. Tracy agrees. I get to the restaurant on Friday, on the agreed time. It's 5 o'clock. No Tracy. 5:15, 5:30, no Tracy. 6 o'clock, no Tracy. And I say to myself, he stood me up. I walk out the restaurant, and I walk toward my car. I grab the door, and then I hear the sound of skateboard wheels. And it's Tracy and 2 of his friends. So we all went back inside, and I bought everyone a number 1 with lemonade. And they actually did say, thank you. And just to make sure I was aligned with employees of this restaurant, I said, my pleasure. This was the moment that we started chipping away at the wall of stereotype, the wall that divided us. I was looking at Tracy and his friends for the board with wheels that they enjoyed. But I was looking at them, why can't you be a basketball player? Why can't you be a football player? They enjoy skateboarding. Tracy looked at me as another police officer that he had a negative interaction with. He was judging me for the uniform that I wore and the badge. So we would agree to meet again the following week, and Tracy brought back 10 more skateboarders, and I bought 10 more number 1 lemonades. And this would go on week after week after week, to the point we had 50 skateboarders inside of this restaurant with 1 police officer. And the conversations were great. And I bought 50 number 1 with lemonades. My wallet was getting lighter and lighter, but it was worth it because we generated momentum, and we decided to do the impossible. Let's make some positive noise and bring awareness to build a skate park in Apex. That would include having a skateboarding event in our town. And they look at me and they said, officer, there's no way we can make that happen. They hate us here. And I said, no, I have relationships. So I went to a young man who owned a Spanish grocery store. We had a location. They had people that could build skateboard ramps and other props for skateboarding. So we agreed on a date in September in 2011. We get there at the event. It's 11 a.m. and there's 3 skateboarders there. And I looked at my daughter and said to her, I think we may have missed this one. And then 30 minutes, skateboarders start coming from every direction. And my daughter said, Dad, I think someone just kicked over an anthill of skateboarders. What I learned about skateboarders, they might not be on time, but they will show up. This will lead to more momentum, and it grew bigger and bigger to where we formed a community group of skateboarders, and they started doing great things in the community. They made Valentine's cards for seniors. They gave out turkeys during Thanksgiving. They even had litter sweeps monthly, and we had more skateboarding events monthly. This would lead to more momentum as the skateboarders rolled their way into a town council meeting. 3 skateboarders spoke at a public forum for 3 minutes and articulated the need for a skate plaza in Apex. The town council, the generous town council, would respond and agree, we need a skate plaza in Apex. And they would allocate $750,000 toward a capital project. Amazing. But they also said this, based on the design charrette, it's $1 million. You have to do a grassroots effort in the community to meet the gap. That will go on for about a year, and we got down to the final hour. We were short $100,000. And then a passionate community member came to a meeting. The deadline was on Friday. And he said, I can't give you $100,000 today on Friday. And we said, this is the deadline. He said, how about $50,000 today, Friday, and $50,000 Monday? And I said, yeah, we can work with that. August 1st, 2015, the Rogers Family Skate Plaza was open. And it's the home to skateboarders, scooter riders, rollerbladers, and families that enjoy one of the most popular recreation places in Apex. And who would have thought that young skateboarder and police officer would be invited to the White House and presented an award and recognized for a solution, a unique solution to a problem in the community. And then I thought, if that young police officer, shy kid from the 90s could end up at the White House, perhaps he can inspire others to show up when they're not invited. In 2016, we entered into one of the most tumultuous seasons in the history of our nation between community and police. And I had a thought. What if we can bring police and community together through this school and train a new generation of police officers to approach conflict with compassion? And then the same week, David Brown, the chief of police of the Dallas Police Department at the time, he said, I got an idea. He encouraged his community members to fill out an application. And he said, we will put you in your community and help you solve the problems that you're most concerned about. And you know what I said? Chief Brown stole my idea. But actually, I got excited. I knew we were on to something. In 2017, I launched an initiative to train a new generation. So many men and women from around the nation and locally have attended this school. So many amazing stories, like Richard Campbell. Richard came to Apex from Ohio with only the dream to play collegiate basketball. And he did that. But he also showed up at every single class. And by the way, he had no desire to be a police. He said, don't even talk to me about it. It's been 3 years since he graduated. Richard, he's now running into problems. He's cultivating relationships. And he's building community in the assignment of a police officer. What if you showed up to that problem that you think is too big? Will you show up? The CDC reported in 2021, 107,000 people died from drug overdose. That's one death every 5 minutes. A staggering record in our nation. But Holland showed up, and the Mayor Substance Misuse Task Force was born. And now, it provides hope, education, and resources to those affected by substance misuse. Social media has presence, and you can be there, but move beyond that and show up. The people on social media may tell you You're not invited. You're not good enough. This isn't for you. And they may give you their opinion. And by the way, they're all right. Just ask and they'll tell you. But what I would tell you, this is a new era. We need passionate community members to show up. Will you show up?